Are you ready to scale and outsource your business?
Okay, let's go.
Welcome to the Outsourcing and Scaling Show. I'm your host, Nathan Hirsch, a show where we talk about everything Amazon, Shopify, e-commerce, and digital marketing. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back to Outsourcing and Scaling. Today I have a very special guest, Juliana. Juliana, how are you doing?
I am doing great. How are you doing today?
Doing great. I'm not even going to try to pronounce your last name. How do you say it?
My last name is pronounced Stachurski. So it's a hard CH, like Michael in school.
And you were joking before that it was your husband's name and you're sticking with it.
Yes, you know what? I love the man. I'll take the name. Life is good.
For those of you that don't know, Juliana is a highly sought after speaker who has performed on some of the biggest stages in the U.S. With a formal background in education and law, she has taught at several universities. Her gift for reining in information chaos makes her lessons power-packed and easy to apply. Juliana has led multiple companies through hyper-growth using ClickFunnels, which we're going to talk all about, as her secret weapon to ignite rapid conversions. Her mission is to amplify good by ensuring entrepreneurs have the tools and resources to succeed. Juliana is an island girl at heart with a family in Maui in the Pacific Northwest. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, you did.
Food is her love language, and she currently resides in Nashville and is happy enjoying good food and good music with her favorite people. Quite a bio. We're going to talk all about that. But first, let's go back a while ago when you were a kid. What were you like growing up? Were you a straight A student? You're obviously a hard worker. Were you a hard worker back then? Did school motivate you?
You know, it did. And I was a really, really good student. I wasn't a straight A student, but I was definitely an honor roll kind of kid. I really did well in the classroom, but I also had a tendency to get in trouble because I talked a lot. I was the kid that got moved around and reminded of what I was supposed to be doing. So I was very rarely a sit down and be quiet kind of kid. I started studying music at a very young age. And so that really helped kind of corral my focus because it gave me a very distinct path to follow at an early age. Because without that, I am by nature all over the place and really needed some of those kind of boundaries when it came to practicing and things like that to kind of help rein it in. But I loved being outside. I loved running around, climbing trees. We lived in a great spot with a lot of access to the outdoors, so I'm very lucky with that. But yeah, as far as school, really good, but at the same time managed to sit in the hall a fair amount of time as well when I was growing up.
So you run your own business. It's called Ellis Pond. You're very involved in the ClickFunnels and ClickFunnel community. Talk to me about your first entrepreneurial adventure.
You know what? My very, very first entrepreneurial adventure, no lie, I was super duper young. I was probably about 5.5, and we lived very close to a park, and I saw people, and I had heard about a thing called a lemonade stand, and I really wanted a lemonade stand because I wanted to earn money. I didn't get an allowance growing up. We weren't that kind of a family. And so my parents encouraged us, well, if you want to run a lemonade stand, you can, but you have to set it up in front of the house. And my dad was a banker, and he wouldn't let me have my lemonade stand until I knew how to make change, right? And so I charged a dime, and he goes, if somebody gives you a quarter, what do you do? And so I had to learn how to make change, and that was fine. But then I learned the hard way that they weren't just going to give me lemonade in cups. My parents actually charged me. I was 5 years old, and they charged me for my cost of goods. And I was like, what is this? So I had money saved up from like my birthday or whatever. So I bought the lemonade. It was like, the Minute Maid stuff that came in a can that you like add water to, whatever, and the cups. And I set up, and I had a stellar day. I made like $3 and I was so excited. But then the next day it rained and I made no money at all. And I was so bummed. And so at an early age, I learned that it does not always, the money just doesn't roll in simply because you had a good day. And that was a good first lesson to learn.
So you have this law degree in your back pocket. There's not a lot of people that get a law degree and then pivot to just becoming an entrepreneur, although I'm sure it helps you. I mean, I kind of wish I had a law degree in my back pocket. I can't imagine it hurts, but why make that pivot? Why go down the entrepreneur route away from law? Yeah,
well, I would actually suggest that a lot of attorneys, lawyers that graduate from law school and decide to like have their own practice are actually entrepreneurs. And that's one of the lies that they don't tell you. Like if you're a lawyer or if you're a doctor or a dentist and you go out and you want to make money for like all the knowledge that you gained and all the skills that you've gotten and you've paid a lot of money for in law school or medical school, dental school, what have you, even though you are a lawyer or a doctor by education and you have the fancy piece of paper to hang on the wall, you're also an entrepreneur because you got to get clients, right? And you got to run your business and you got to make things happen. But as far as pivoting from how I generate revenue by providing like legal services to generating revenue for my own company by helping other businesses, that pivot came because, number one, I have a paralegal certification, not a law degree, because what I didn't share with you is my husband and I actually have a bunch of kids. We have 8 biological children, and during the 3 years of law school, I also happened to have 3 babies, and realized that full-time law school plus full-time momming of 3 under 3 was not a great combination. And my babies were only going to be young once, and I decided that that's where I was going to spend my time. The number one reason why I don't practice law is because I am not an attorney. The number 2 reason why I didn't pursue legal, my JD later in life, is because I learned being in business with my husband, working in marketing specifically, is really where my bliss was. And I could help a lot of people. I could generate a lot of revenue for other companies, but also help take care of my own family by doing something that I was really good at and also that I really, really loved.
I love it. So what advice do you have out there? I'm sure there's a lot of moms that are clients of mine, and I'm guessing that most of them don't have 8 kids. They might have 1, 2, 3, and they're struggling. They're struggling to balance it. How are you able to do that, and what advice do you have for them?
Yeah, well, the very first thing I have to tell you is that there's no such thing as balance. No such thing as balance. It's all about priority and having a really honest conversation about yourself of what's important to you, and using that really as a guiding light, not so much as an anchor. You got to be grounded, but as a guiding light, because once you decide what's important, then every decision you make, whether it's for your family directly or for your business or for your involvement in the community, goes through that filter, goes through that paradigm. And then you get to decide where in order of priority you want to place it with regards to your time. Nathan, I've petitioned. There are 24 hours in a day. My appeals keep getting denied. There are still only 24 hours in a day. So deciding what's most important and what you're going to get done is really the key to being able to, to wake up in the morning and take that next step, because otherwise it can be completely overwhelming.
I completely agree. Prioritization and time management. Not that I have any kids, but it's the same thing no matter what you're trying to balance. So I know you had the lemonade stand. Let's talk about the first company that you built. How did you come up with the idea, and walk us through that first year? Because I'm always fascinated by how people do it in that first year, especially when it's their first business.
Yeah. So we were very tentative getting into business. And here's why. Number one, we had a lot of kids. And so we couldn't just throw caution to the wind and dive in with 2 feet. So my husband had a regular day gig, and I had a part-time gig here. And we started very, very small in online marketing in PPC, and learning how this whole you make money online thing kind of worked. And from that, we learned a little bit more about sales funnels and online marketing and how that could work. And our first year really was learning and growing and investing in ourselves. We weren't making a ton of money. And that was okay because we had our regular day gigs that we could rely on to pay for the things that we needed to do. So to fast forward into 2013, my husband decided that his day gig working as a corporate cog wasn't going to work. And we went in and created a company called Franklin Networks. And what that was developing high value domain names into, basically we were doing content marketing, and we were making money doing advertising arbitrage. So I'm sure as you know, what that means is we create a very beautiful site with content that's just amazing that everybody wants to see. We would drive traffic there, and then we would sell advertising on those sites. And then the money that was in between driving traffic and selling ads is the money that we made.
Nice.
That first year we actually were 6 figures positive in the first 90 days.
Nice.
And then Google changed their mind, and that ended. But you know what? It was a screaming deal, and it was a really great model for about, I would say about 13 months. And then, as sometimes will happen, and this was actually a really important lesson, we literally had all our eggs in that basket. And it was awesome when it was awesome. And then when it wasn't, it got really scary really fast.
Right.
And that taught us a good lesson about diversification. It taught us about our risk tolerance. It taught us that even if things are going really, really awesome, the importance of not just saving for a rainy day, but having that parachute plan for not if things change, but when things change, that you have something that you can gracefully pivot to, so that you aren't just caught going, oh my gosh, like Google changed things, the world has ended, right? So those were some really important lessons that we learned during that time.
Talk to me about your first hire. Who was it? How'd it go?
It went poorly. Are you my first like in-person hire? Is that
either one, whatever your first hire was.
Okay, so as you know, I have both employees that come to our offices and work with us there, and we have hires that we have online. So my very first like in-person hire, we put out an ad on Craigslist. We needed some admin help in the office, and up until that time, like we had been wearing all the hats. So it was like I was business owner, I was customer service, I was accounting, I was I was actually like creating the deliverables, and I was like, I can't keep doing this because I need to sleep at some point in time. So I need to have somebody come in. So we thought the very first thing we would do is have someone come in and help with some of the admin things, some of the bookkeeping and reconciliations. And the person who came in, I interviewed several people, and I learned a lot in the interview process. I learned that maybe putting an ad on Craigslist probably wasn't like the most savvy business decision. You laugh. I thought I was doing a good job, right?
Someone asked me yesterday, they were like, how come Craigslist is so good at finding for like hiring or something like that? And I was like, really? That's not the experience that I've had, but
no. But I hired a woman, and she seemed really nice in the interview. And, I was like, okay, I think this is a good fit. Right. And, I looked at her resume, we had the conversation. I was like, great. Can you start on Monday? And she said, fabulous. And we did all the paperwork, and we get in, and like, she didn't show up, and I didn't know what to do, because I was like, I had never like just not shown up for work. And so it was outside my scope of reality that somebody might say they would show up for work and then not. And so I was really confused, and I didn't know what to do, because I had pulled my ad from Craigslist. I had stopped interviewing people. I thought I had found somebody. And then like this woman just didn't show up. And then she showed up, and she was like 2 hours late. And so I assumed that like somebody had died, because why would you show up 2 hours late unless there was something like legitimately wrong? Right. And she was like, it was like a no big deal. And I was like, oh, that's going to be a problem. But I also didn't realize that when you're the boss, you can like let people know what the rules are early on. And she was probably 10 or 15 years older than me. She rightly diagnosed that I was on the younger side of things. She took advantage of my naivete. And also I allowed that to happen because I didn't know any better. And so it was really painful. And I liken it to when you buy a pair of shoes that look super cute in the store, and you try them on and they kind of pinch, and you think, oh, I'll break them in, it'll be fine. Or we'll figure it out, it'll be great. And you know what? You wear those shoes and they just hurt. And then when your feet hurt, your whole being hurts. And that's what my first hire was like. It was like that super cute pair of shoes that didn't fit quite right and just was murderous on my day. And we went through it was probably a good 90 days before I finally let her go. And that was horrible because I'd never fired anybody before. Like I called my dad. I was like, I got to fire this person. I don't know what to do. And he's all like, and he's a banker, right? And so he's had to hire and fire. He's like, well, you got to make sure. And I really appreciate this. Not only did he help walk me through the process to make sure that I had done the right papers and we had closed things like from a solid business perspective, but also the little things that I've carried through the course of my career. Like when you fire someone, you have Kleenex on the table. Little things that matter. But it's not on any checklist. So some of those intangibles, I'm really grateful for my dad for walking me through that.
Yeah. I mean, I still remember firing my first person. It was painful. It was actually a friend of mine. I made the classic mistake of hiring a friend when I was in college, and it was brutal. I want to ask one more hiring question, and then I want to get to ClickFunnels. You have internal people in your office, you have virtual people. How do you keep it all together? How do you build a culture where some people are with you and some people are not? Because I think a lot of people listening are in that position, or at least considering putting their business in that position.
Right. So the most important thing is that every business should understand who they are, whom they serve, and why that audience cares. And every single person in that organization, from your brand new VA to someone who's been with the company for 5, 6, 7 years, when you say, hey, who are we? Why do we care? Why are we in business? They should know, even if they have a little cheat sheet next to their computer on a Post-it note, right? So I think having that alignment and purpose is vital, especially when you have a workforce that is all over the world. Everybody needs to know why we're doing our thing. Right. And the next thing that's really important is that there needs to be a very clear understanding of how their work helps with that big picture goal, so that you let everyone know that they are actually participating in something that's a lot bigger than my accounting person who does a really good job of making sure my books are balanced, is just as important as My person who is running digital ads for me is just as important as someone who is helping craft the language, the words, my copywriters, for the presentations that we give or building my slides. So it's the idea that we are all actively participating in moving our company forward. And also it's really important to me that everyone that I employ has a properly structured compensation plan so that they also benefit when things go really well. And also they understand that if things don't go well, that we can't be as, generous with the flexible part of their compensation.
Right. Makes a ton of sense. So let's forward ahead to ClickFunnels. When did you come across ClickFunnels? What were you doing before it? And why are you so excited about ClickFunnels?
Yeah, totally. So I started using ClickFunnels in 2015, and I was part of a brand at that point in time, and we were doing some really super duper big things. And I didn't know that ClickFunnels had actually only been open to the public since September of 2014. So we were definitely in that early adopter phase. And I can tell you with certainty, at first I was not in love with the platform at all because things were kind of buggy and they were still learning and they were still growing. But the cool thing is that ClickFunnels invested in their platform. They invested in their people. Things got better. Things are working. And I personally have helped generate over $10 million inside of ClickFunnels using their platform for myself or for other clients. So I know that the system works. And when I have something that works and works really, really well, I love it. So we fast forward from 2015 to last year, ClickFunnels put out a call for speakers. And I was really excited because at the beginning of 2018, I decided that I wanted to do more public speaking. It was important to me as part of my journey that was where I wanted to focus my priority and focus my time. So I thought, perfect, I'll audition for this. So I did, and it was great, and they had several rounds of auditions, and they whittled it down, and at the end of the day, there were 20 of us that they invited to Boise, Idaho, and we got to have some training with Russell Brunson in person. We spent 2 days in Boise. It was wonderful to meet people from all over the world who were selected to be part of the ClickFunnels International Speaking Team. To get trained in person by Russell Brunson is just an absolute dream. And I'm super stoked. I've already been on stages all over the US talking about ClickFunnels to audiences of entrepreneurs, sharing how they can leverage this tool to make a huge impact, drive revenue, and help move things forward for them in their businesses.
So let's talk about ClickFunnels for the basics for people that out there that they have a business, they're doing pretty well, but their funnel isn't really set up. They've probably heard the word funnel a million times, but they haven't gotten there. Give us the basics of ClickFunnels, wwhy they should be using it, and how to set up a good funnel for your business.
Sure. So at its most basic level, a funnel is an online journey that you take your visitor to a point of decision. And for us, that point of decision might be, yes, I want to give you my email address. Or that point of decision might be, yes, take my money and I want to buy your stuff.
Right.
So what's most important is understanding which funnel is right for your intended purpose. A lot of people, when they start, they say, I'm going to do funnels. And then they watch a bunch of YouTube and they get really excited. And it is really exciting. And they see a bunch of success stories, but they don't take the time to sit and go, okay, in my business, is it important for me to generate leads? Is it important for me to grow my audience so I have more people to talk to? Or is it important to me, I'm an e-com and I've got this thing that I want to sell and I want to use a funnel to sell this thing. And so at first you need to understand what is the purpose and why you're creating the funnel in the first place. The next thing is way too often people want to overcomplicate things. They're like, they see these really pretty beautiful mind maps of these funnels and dependencies, and if this then that, or not then this, and it's like this huge map or maze, if you will. When you are very first starting out, you could have a 2-step funnel be the perfect fit for your business to get traction and get you to your goal. Again, it's always about the end in mind. Understand what you want to accomplish, what that yes is, what that win is going to be, and build from there.
Nice. I love it. So let's say that someone has a funnel and it's not converting the way that they want it. What are the common mistakes that you see and what advice do you have? I mean, obviously every funnel is different, but there have to be some core strategies to take a funnel from C to A.
Yeah, exactly. So if your funnel is not converting, it is one of 3 things. Number 1, it could be that your hook is wrong. You are using the wrong thing to get attention from the people you want your yes from. So number 1 is take a look at your hook. Is it right? And am I talking to the right people? The second thing that could be wrong is the story that's in your funnel. Are you saying the right words to resonate with your audience, to make that emotional connection? Are you giving the right instructions for them? Are you telling them where to click? You would not believe how many times I have looked at funnels and I'm like, so I want to buy something. What do I do? And they're like, there's no button or there's no link. I'm sure you've done that where you've gone to websites and you're like, okay, cool. What's next? And you're like,
what do I do?
What do I do? Like, tell me where to go. Right. So it could be something like, y'all, you got to put the button. Give me a mechanism, right, to take the next step. So number one, your hook could be off. Number two, your story could be off. You're using the wrong words to communicate with your audience. And the third thing that could be wrong is your offer. You want to make sure that your offer is the right fit for what you have been presenting to your audience. My classic example is that if I go through a funnel and I am a pet owner and they want to sell me pet food, and that's perfect because my pet eats daily a lot, and I get to the end of the funnel, I have an offer for cat food, well, I'm not going to buy it. Even if the funnel is perfect, even if the copy was the most elegant copy I've ever read, because I'm a dog owner. And so simply saying that, hey, pet owners, I've got something for you, isn't enough. You have to make sure that that offer is dialed in for exactly who that audience is that you're attracting.
Let's talk about the story, because I feel like the story is so important, and a lot of people miss that. What makes a good story?
A good story is something that will emotionally resonate with your audience. It's super important that it is relatable and that there is a lesson that we can take from that. So at its most basic level, I need to identify the person I want to talk to. Hey, are you an entrepreneur? I'm going to tell you a story about something that happened to me as an entrepreneur. And I'm going to give you a way to solve whatever that common pain point we might have. So when I was first hiring VAs, I didn't have a good vetting system. Then I'll say, when I first started, I had no idea how to find a good copywriter and tell you a story about that, right, which they probably resonate with. And then I'll say, so here are the ways that you want to go about it.
Love
in
it.
the future.
So what else did I miss? What else should people know about ClickFunnels?
You know what? People should know that ClickFunnels applies whether you're just starting out or if you are several years into business and you're looking for a way to bump out of that plateau. And that is super important because it's a platform. You can leverage that platform regardless of where you are in your journey as a business owner. And that's super important.
Where do you see funnels going? I mean, they've obviously come a long way since you started 2015, 2019. Yeah. What do you see in 2020 and beyond?
Oh, I am so super excited for 2020 and beyond because as we evolve at the speed of the internet, we have so much more capability than we had in 2015. The things that we can do with funnels now are so much more advanced because we have additional features within the platform where I can actively communicate outbound with my customers. I have a way now that I can let people, if I'm speaking at an event, I can put up on a slide a number that they can text to opt into the front end of my funnel. Which means if I'm speaking to a room of 500 people, there's no way I can talk to 500 people one-on-one. But what I can do is after they've heard me speak, and I put a number up on the screen for them to text, the people that are interested in having that one-on-one conversation with me, I can take care of that digitally, make sure that the people that really need my time and attention have an opportunity to get on my calendar, and I can scale that much faster because I've leveraged technology using ClickFunnels for my business.
I love it. Juliana, where can people find out more about you and what are you excited for the rest of the year?
Yeah, well, people can find me at ellispond.com. That's ELLISPOND.com. And what I am super excited about for the end of this year is scaling my own business. I'm super excited about the marketing workshops that we are doing right now. Actually, I'm talking to you from a hotel room in Richmond, Virginia. I just wrapped up a 2-day workshop with an awesome local business here. Nice. And I love the idea that we are able to really help small businesses blow past their revenue goals by leveraging technology. And we're doing that with ClickFunnels. I'm super excited about that.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on the podcast. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll be in touch soon.
All right. Have a great day. Thanks.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. Did you enjoy this content? If so, click like, leave us a comment, and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you great content all about hiring.